Fire Emblem Three Houses is a tactical role-playing strategy game. At the beginning of the game, players choose one of 3 houses to train for battle. This game follows a set calendar during which the player can choose to explore the school, attend a seminar, or go to battle practice once a week. At the end of the month, the player, known as Byleth, leads their students on a mission for the Garrick Mark Monastery. This month is Chapter 6, White Clouds. In the story, a young girl, Flane, has been captured and is missing. Members of Byleth's class discover an injured professor as well as a hidden passage. Byleth and their students go through the passage only to discover an unconscious Flane guarded by a villain known as the Death Knight. The player is then given the win conditions of this specific battle. Defeat the overpowered Death Knight or defeat all other enemies. The players must do so within 25 turns or else the Death Knight will escape with Flane. We start the mission with the scene that introduces it.
What should we do, Teach? I'll admit, I'm out of schemes here.
Professor! Claude, something's very wrong. Please, hurry to Professor Yuritsa's room.
Yuritsa? Ah, the combat professor with the mask. He has always been rather suspicious. We must hurry.
It's really quiet until Manuela's state is revealed.
Knock knock. Is anybody... Whoa! Professor Manuela!
I heard a scream coming from here just moments ago. It must have been Professor Manuela.
The music then gets really intense.
She's unconscious. She was clearly attacked by someone.
The discovery of a beloved teacher being injured creates immediate emotional investment in the scene, as well as a more immediate need to take action.
So we follow where she's pointing and... Oh, what do we have here? There's a rather suspicious hole behind that shelf.
Here, despite the new emotional investment, Three Houses does a good job of not taking the player away from the main mission, saving Flame, by having the house leader, in this case Claude, take Manuela to the infirmary. This prevents the player from experiencing a suspension of disbelief by removing the problem the player would likely prioritize.
What could have happened here? And where is Professor Yuritsa?
This must be related to that girl's disappearance. What if she's being held captive down there? Well, no, that's crazy, right?
Right. It's scary, but... okay.
Don't be a coward, Ignatz. We'll be fine, as long as we stick close to the professor.
You're right. What should we do?
We've got to investigate. Lead the way, Professor.
The culprit could be hiding inside, so let's be extra cautious.
Oh, it's way too creepy down here. And it smells funny. And... Ah! A person! They're unconscious.
As you can hear, the scene becomes quiet again once they start exploring the area Manuela was pointing to.
Yes! It's Flane! Oh, but there's someone else too.
This creates a serious atmosphere that really forces the player to take in the situation at hand.
The Holy Mausoleum?
That sword. You must be. One of us will die. The other will live. I will enjoy this dance of damnation.
Dramatic music starts immediately playing when the Death Knight, the known enemy, approaches and threatens the player. This creates panic and alerts the player that the monthly mission is finally going to begin. Before the battle starts, you can select the specific units you want to fight. You can also choose to look at the map before the actual battle begins. This allows you to find terrain secrets and hidden objectives, like treasure chests and enemies that hold specific loot. Even without the text explaining terrain secrets, players can guess pretty well which spaces they need to head towards because of how they are color-coded. Terrain that raises the player's avoidance skill is blue and naturally lures the player. An HP restoring tile is green, which is also friendly and lets the player know that moving towards it will likely have a positive outcome. The warp tiles, which are crucial for player movement, are green and yellow, which again lets the player know that moving towards them is important. They are also, along with the healing tiles, circular, which makes the player feel safe and welcomed. These things combined help you decide on a battle plan depending upon what enemies you want to fight based on those things and where doors are, which you need keys or specific players to unlock. You can also use the map feature to change how your units are first lined up. I knew I wanted my cavalry units to take the pathway to the right, so I moved them further that way. Although I cannot move the heroine Byleth, they are exactly where I want them to be because their battle class is Thief, meaning they can open doors without a key. If needed, you can also double check any previous battle guides you have unlocked whilst playing. Now, let's begin the actual gameplay.
Professor,
The battle begins with Hilda immediately bringing warp tiles to Byleth's attention. This ensures that the player knows they are in a multi-cursal maze with multiple paths to the enemy in the center, without breaking any
I
immersion.
bet something will happen if you step on it.
Byleth's units start in a quite narrow space, which then leads to a much bigger area with many enemies. By having the player's units begin in a small space and then arrive in an overwhelmingly larger space when the battle truly begins, Three Houses immediately recreates the intense suspense that has been following the player throughout the game month. They begin to feel the depth of the challenge in front of them. Throughout the entire first part of the battle, the player encounters multiple enemies with loot bags. This makes the player motivated and keeps their sense of accomplishment strong, regardless of how long the battle may seem to take. Since players also have access to more than one pathway at a time, they stay engaged with multiple options on how to proceed next. If they do end up using more than one path, they are also rewarded for their exploration.
So you have come.
At this part in the battle, the soldiers that appear gatekeep the player's progress by preventing them from using the lever until they are defeated. Once the player can pull the lever, the muted warp tiles become active, and the player can finally unlock their 2 treasure chests, and pull yet another lever that makes defeating the Death Knight much easier.
Kill them.
Halt! You're having a bit too much fun.
You are getting in the way of my game.
Overall, in terms of level design, Fire Emblem Three Houses uses both overt and covert tutorials, architectural arrivals, cutscenes, sounds, mazes, player guidance, and a strong reward system. All of these things together keep players interested, in suspense, and entirely immersed in the game.
I am the Flame Emperor. It is I who will reforge the world.